You guys, thank you, Sherry, for that sly look over there. So Hunter does this amazing thing called Sunday Thoughts. And I remember when I first met him and I got on there, now I have a whole file in my Outlook just for Sunday Thoughts because they're so amazing. And they're his personal thoughts. There's nothing other than, and I love that because he coaches from how I'm feeling. How am I feeling that day? How is Hunter feeling? And what are the things that are affecting him? He's a salesperson, meaning he makes his living doing mortgages, but he's also one of the, sort of the executives of the company. And in addition to that, he's one of the top mortgage coaches in the country. So he has a lot of opportunity to see what's going on in this world right now that's shifting. When I sent the email for the free Friday coaching call, we included in it a video, a 3-minute video that he had done that had gotten lots and lots and lots of attention because of the way he talks about what's going on in the market. So to start this morning off, I'm going to play that video because even if you saw it, it's worth watching again. And we'll put it up here, and we can all learn from it again, like I said. So let me just see right here.
You're very technically savvy. I could never do this, Rick.
Oh, really? No, jeez. Well, the thing is, a lot of people learn Zoom as a result of the pandemic. I, as a coach at Workman Success Systems, we had to start using Zoom. I think it's been almost 6 years now. So I had to learn it a long, long time ago. And I was like that guy that said, what's wrong with just the phone call where we're recording? And they go, we want you to be able to see their faces and their body language and how they're reacting to what you're coaching them on. And it did really change the coaching world quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me share my screen. So when you click share my screen down at the bottom, it says share sound and optimize for video. So you want to do that. Let me see. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to cancel share screen for a minute and see if I can get the video started. Wait a minute. See, you told me I was good at it, and all of a sudden. So hold on one sec. Oh, now I got it up. There we go. Now I'll share the screen. I'll let more people in. Share screen. Share sound. Optimize for video, and then share. Okay, here we go.
Hello, business partners. It is Hunter. Hope you are doing great. I wanted to get a video out just in regards to what's happening with the market, what's happening with everything we're hearing about in the news, inflation, interest rates, buyers. I do acknowledge, by the way, that I have a nick on my nose, a little biopsy. I'm sure I'm fine, but just so you're aware that I know that there's something sitting on my face in case you were wondering if I noticed that on the video. Trying to be funny. So what's happening in the market? Right now, we have the Feds getting together tomorrow. They're going to discuss whether or not they're taking interest rates up 0.5% or 0.75 of a point. It's been talked about for a long time that they'd be moving rates 0.5 point. The likelihood now is 0.75 of a point. You would say, why is that bad news? The reality of it is right now we have inflation at a 40-year high. So consumer price index announcement just came out. So year over year, May to May, up 8.6% in a single year, which is a lot. Last time they moved the Fed funds rate 0.75 of a point at one time was 1994. So it's very real. The goal here is just to slow down inflation. If you look at inflation compared to recession, we would rather be in a recession than have massive inflation. So the only way to stop inflation is to take these interest rates up, which is what we're doing. And we'd rather do it sooner and harder than longer and softer, right? So we'd rather get hit over the head versus a bunch of little taps and just get it over with. So that is what's happening with the Fed funds, hopefully tomorrow. Interest rates, they are still, yes, they're in the 5s and we're hearing they're nearing 6. These are still normal interest rates. So the conversations that we're having with our clients right now is, it's just neutral thinking. It's not negative. It's not positive. It's just neutral based on an individual's desire and ability to buy a house, right? If people are waiting for 3% again, the likelihood of that happening isn't very good. There's still a lot of people that can afford a home, that need a home. I try to get people to understand it's not, you're not buying a stock, you're buying a home. So it's just, it's understanding people's wants and needs. And if they can qualify for the mortgage and what their reasoning is for buying, it makes sense for them to buy today, just like it might have 3 or 6 months ago. So those are the kind of conversations we're having. We're also talking to people about different products, right? You have ARMs as an example. We're going to see ARMs come back into the equation. We're going to see things like interest only loans potentially come back into the equation outside of just having a standard 30-year fixed mortgage. So they're not bad. It's just about what someone's appetite is for risk. It's about what someone's situation is for how long they anticipate on being in the house. And it has to do with what the difference is between a 30-year fixed and a 7 or a 10-year ARM, right? If all of a sudden that's a 3/4 of a point different in rate, it might make sense for someone to look at alternative products. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. If you have any questions for me, if you want to discuss anything, I'm more than happy to. I'm having these conversations every day with clients. I think the more informed we're keeping people up front, the better opportunity we have in working with them. So again, hope everyone's doing great. Any questions whatsoever, anything you want to catch up on, just let me know and I'm here for you. And we'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Okay, two things that I want to say, Hunter. First, I think it was hilarious that you mentioned your scab from your biopsy. I'm assuming everything turned out okay on that.
In all honesty, no, it's cancer, but it will get fixed.
All right.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about though. They can remove it.
Yeah, I've got to get, it's been an interesting week, which I guess is kind of stuff we're talking about, but yeah, it's, I have to have 17 30-minute radiation treatments on it.
Holy crap.
I know.
Okay. Well, we're going to send you good wishes.
Thank you.
The other thing that I thought that was amazing is how beautiful your full of shit virtual background is. That's your actual office or home, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Is it
Yeah,
your house? Is it your
no,
house?
no, that's my office.
Wow.
Yeah.
I looked at that. I go, wait, the background isn't moving. You do, so it must be real. And I was like, it's so pretty.
I was super smart. Our CEO moved to Florida, and when he did, he gave me his office. So it looks, I almost don't like having clients in here because you'd think I was Gordon Gekko doing mortgages, but it's a great place to show up every day for work.
All right. So Hunter, you and I had a quick little talk yesterday about this, and I was super pumped about that talk alone because, we've had talks on here before. We have people from all states, cities, some from Canada. We have people of different varying production levels. We've even had mortgage people on here once in a while. And there will be those people watching the recording, even if they're not on today. So it's really important that I think we understand what you're saying to people, what's going on, and those kinds of things. When I first asked Hunter to be on today's call, I said this to him. I said, hey, I've heard that mortgage applications are down 75%. And even if that's off by a little bit, I'm sure it's not far off. What are you saying to your people? Right? So Hunter, you kind of both smiled and cringed at that. Talk a little bit about what is going on. Are mortgage apps down that far? And, obviously what's going on in the mortgage world is always a reflection of what's going on in the real estate world. Because between me and you and our audience, we have been in what I called a lead receiving market for the last 3 to 4 years, where the leads would come into our phone, whether we picked up the phone or not, or made a phone call or not, the leads were coming in. And now we are in a work your butt off lead generate market if we're going to do any business at all. So talk to us a little bit about what you're experiencing and what you're talking to people about.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I mean, Rick, one of the things, it's funny, I don't know the number, because one of my points to today's call is we have to be smarter about knowing metrics, something Rick and I talked about yesterday. But yeah, I would say overall, the market on the lending side, lenders have refinances as well. There are people that are in our industry that make an entire living off of doing refinances. I would say those people are literally out of business right now. I believe the number is refinances are down like 90+%. On the purchase side of things, it does depend on what market you're in. Rick and I were looking at numbers yesterday. A friend of mine in San Antonio was going through numbers, and he was doing, I think it's smart to take the emotions out of things. You have to look at numbers and you have to look at metrics. And I think for all of us as professionals, which to Rick's point, we need to be more professional moving forward than we've been. A comment a friend of mine made while we were doing a kind of an interview together. He said, lenders have never been this out of shape. And I don't know that Rick, you tell me if that's true for realtors or not. I mean, I think from a lender's perspective, we went from literally, going from you're almost interviewing clients as to whether or not you want to take their loan because you have so much business coming in the door that you don't want to clog up the wheel with someone that isn't willing to work inside of your kind of guidelines. And that's completely shifted to, holy cow, I hope someone calls me.
Yeah. Let me add to that. We had a referral source on our team, and sometimes they'd give us a referral for way outside of any area we covered, and they'd asked us to help them find an agent. And literally, I'd be calling into these remote areas where I'd literally, to find an agent, I'd just go on Zillow and say, homes for sale in that city. Like, I was in some of these cities I'd never heard of, and I'm a California native. And so I pick a couple of agents and they'd say, I'm sorry, I'm too busy to take that lead.
Right.
Right. And I'd be like, I have never said those words in my entire life, nor will they ever leave my mouth, ever. Like, how could you say that? Build a business such that you can take all the leads, because now I'll bet if I called them, they'd say, sure. Or, sorry, that price range has nothing for sale in it. I don't want to waste my time. I heard that a lot.
Yeah.
So now I'll bet you if I called those same people, not that I would anymore, that the answer would be different. So I love that you said that part, that, you were interviewing people about who you'd spend your time with. So
Right. So, but one of the things Rick and I looked at yesterday, my friend in San Antonio, his point to people in looking at metrics versus emotions was, in San Antonio, the amount of sales, he looked at year over year. So if you think about 2021 to 2022, in a 6-month period of time, last year in San Antonio, there were, like, call it 17,000 homes that sold. And the year to date, year over year, it was like 17,081. There was only an 81 unit difference between what had happened last year, when everybody thought it was the greatest market of all time, and this year, where everyone thinks, all hell's breaking loose. Interestingly enough, in our market, when Rick and I looked in Walnut Creek, I think we said, what, Rick, Walnut Creek was down 38% year over year in home sales.
Yeah, Fremont was down 19.
And Fremont was down 19%. So the point is I mean, for everybody, depending on what market you're in, those are only 15 miles apart from each other. And those are two very different numbers. So you do have to, whatever market you're concentrating in, you do have to understand the metrics in the environment that you're in. I think, like, knowledge is power. And the more, going back to a more professional mindset moving forward, the more we can provide people with factual data as opposed to emotional data, it matters a lot. So, but to Rick's point, yes, our business is on its ass. And if anyone says otherwise, they're just lying, right? So it's a question of, what do you do with it, knowing that, our cheese has moved massively. And now it is a question of, what are we doing to get, that's the question for all of us, at least if you're, if you're interested in making a living in real estate or doing loans, it's literally, what are you doing? I'm tired of hearing the word pivot, but at the same time, we all need to pivot. Like, the goals that we had set up 6 months ago compared to where we are today are just categorically different. So I don't think, if we don't take the time to understand, truly what is, I look at it like, my team and I went through this exercise. I coached the whole company on it, which is, you have to sit back and say, like, what is, well, the first question you have to ask is, are you rolling with the goals that you had set forth? Like, I can tell you, in the beginning of the year, before all hell broke loose, our production was, the goal that we had set for my team was $250 million in production. Year to date, we're at $80 million in production. We should be at 125 million if we're actually a little less than that. But in any event, we're nowhere close to hitting our goals. So then the question is, and I think this is something everybody should just write down from a, like what you, well, first of all, if you don't have a goal, you should. But the first thing we have to think about is what is working, you know, and this is obviously, I'm not a realtor, so I can't say, and I would ask Rick to, you know, you guys can go more in depth on what the actual items and tactics are that you have to do. I can give you some examples on my side, but it's like, am I hitting my goals? Yes or no? If I'm not hitting my goals, then why am I not hitting my goals? Obviously, there's market conditions that are out of my control, but there's a lot of things that are in my control. So the first thing I'm asking myself is what is working, right? Like my team's attitude is one of the things that's working, right? Our effort is, well, actually, honestly, our effort isn't working. I would say when we got done with it, my single one is that our team was all in to survive this whole thing as much as possible. The second question though is what is not working? And that's where I would say my effort's not working, right? Like if X amount of phone calls a day, if X amount of talk tos a day, if X amount of thank you cards a day are producing my current results, then they aren't working. And I have to acknowledge that, right? So I need to up my activity to get back to where I want to be. Third thing is, what do I need to add? You know, what do I need to add? Which for me is social media. I have always been terrible at social media, and it's with my coaching and everything else. And I should be recruiting for our company and things like that. So I need to be saying to myself, like, what do I need to add? I went out and hired a group that is helping me with my social media campaign. So you'll start seeing a lot. It's all my own content, but you'll start seeing a lot more of me on social media, whether I like it or not. I actually hate it, so I got to get used to doing it. What do I need to subtract? What do I need to stop doing? There's a lot of things when I look at my calendar. I told my coaching students, a couple of them are on this call actually, but it's like, I looked at my Monday this week, and it was like, I got done with the end of the day. And it was like, I have accomplished absolutely nothing today. I mean, like, it was like, how can I be this organized guy with this great calendar and all this coaching stuff? And I get done with the day. And what I realized is I'd spent 5.5 hours literally just kind of responding to emails. An email comes in, I send it out. An email comes in, I'm like, this has nothing to do with lead generation, recruiting, or taking care of my team, which are the 3 priorities that I should be having. So the next day I came in and said to my team, I'm out of emails. So Bridget's typically in my email, but it's like the only thing I should be doing is talking to potential clients or business partners, recruiting for the company, or leading the team, which is our team meeting. If I'm not doing one of those 3 things, then I shouldn't be doing it. So you have to recognize how many things you shouldn't be doing in a day. So what do I need to subtract doing? And then what do I need to learn? Right. So for me, what do I need to learn right now? It goes back to what I was talking about with the metrics. I need to know more metrics. I need to, like you saw that video. Maybe I looked smart. I shouldn't. Well, I mean, I looked like I had a bug on my nose, but that came from me reciting information versus fully understanding information. Like, I need to spend more time in the Wall Street Journal. I need to spend more time with the Contra Costa numbers, the Alameda numbers, the numbers that are primarily in my market, so that I understand where we're going and I can talk to it like a professional. I think you guys do too. So those to me are the top things that we have to look at to go, okay, I need to pivot. How am I going to pivot? I think if you can answer those questions, then you're going to have a better strategy moving forward. So.
Yeah. So can I jump on your amazing thoughts?
Sure.
Look at the chat real quick if you can, Hunter, and tell me if I missed anything after what do I subtract? Did I miss one more? So I wrote what's working. You know, you said, if you don't have a goal, set one. Am I hitting my goals? Yes or no? If no, why? If yes, why? What's working? What's not working? And you said my effort is not working. And then I added, by the way, today, July 1 is day 1 of the second half of the year. What do I need to add? And what do I need to subtract? Which I loved your Monday example for that. That's something my wife, because she's circulating around the house when I'm doing things, is very good at pointing out when I'm being the highest paid assistant in the world.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is the kind of accountability that nobody gets. I'm married to my accountability partner. So if she's floating around, what? She even saw me return an email the other day to Shauna and Gina, my amazing people that run me, about a flyer. And she goes, "Why are you emailing about flyers?" She just walked right by. I go, "No, no, no, you misunderstood. That was just the subject title. They needed my approval to switch companies. That was all, right?" And she's like, "Just like that." It was literally a 5-second email.
Yeah.
But that kind of thing really makes me realize, is my time being spent? Like you saying, why am I in email? I should be talking to somebody who needs a mortgage, period,
Right.
end of sentence. So,
And and so many times, Rick, it's an excuse not to do what you know you need to do. Right. I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why at the end of the day, I'm in email because I don't feel like making calls.
Yes, I love it. We're in email because we're in avoidance,
Right.
right? This is the activity that will allow me to be proud of myself and succeed at a higher level. And I love that we do that. We say, I was teaching somebody about something I used to do in the 90s a lot. And they go, "Wow, that seemed like it worked so well." I go, "It did." And they go, "So why'd you stop doing it?" And I go, "Because it works so well."
Right. Right. Genius.
So yeah, I think what you're saying is brilliant. And what I loved is the order you put things. That's why I put it in the chat, and I'll copy the chat for myself and share it with my team. But these are the things that we're not asking ourselves day in and day out. And what you said that I love is my effort is missing, because I can remember in 2006, in the beginning of the year, if I door knocked on 100 doors, I got 3 leads. By the middle to late 2007, I was knocking on 200 doors before I would get 3 leads. Did
Yep.
the activity change? No, but the amount of activity to get the same result changed.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
So, and so I tell people, you don't have to switch your activity, just do more of it. Right.
Right. Right.
So what are you seeing about that? Like you said these words, and they're still right. You said it yesterday, and you said it this morning. Loan agents or mortgage people are out of shape. And you're basically saying it's become a skill-based market. And somebody sent me a screenshot of something that they saw on Facebook that said NAR membership, the National Association of Realtors, will go from 1.6 million to 1.2 million between now and 2024. I don't want it to. I don't want people that I care about in this industry, that I care about for 42 years, leaving because they wouldn't dig deep enough, learn and execute the skills necessary to be amazing. You also said something that I took note on my own notes over here, about my team is committed to the 250 million, right?
Yeah.
My wife used to say this because she had already been deep into the personal development world when I started dating her, and I was just learning the personal development world. And she goes, "What are you committed to?" And I'd say, "I'm committed to this." And she'd say this word: "Based on results, you're not."
Yeah.
Oh, I freaking hated that. So you say I'm committed to 250, which means today at the second half of the year, I should be at 125, and we're not. That's an example of what you're committed to.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to, I mean, to your point too, one of my favorite things is like, are my actions in alignment with my words, right? Like how far, like this is when my actions are in alignment with my words, and this is when they're far apart. And my team and I, and I think this is relevant for everybody, not just whether or not you have a team, whether or not you do a couple purchases a year, or you do a ton. But I like, I mean, Hillary's on the call. She was there for it. I started off a call. I love my team and I care about my team, and we spend a ton of time together, and they've all been with me somewhere between 5 and 11 years. But I noticed that people weren't recognizing the market that we're in, which is a disservice for me, like a disservice from me. And I basically started the meeting off by, I mean, everyone's having a good time. Everyone's talking about spending money, this and that. And I just said, "You guys, I'm letting everyone go." And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm just letting everyone go. And obviously they realized after a minute or two, I wasn't smiling about it, but he said, I said, "You guys, of course, I'm like, I'll work for free before I have to let anyone on this team go, but I need everybody to understand, in this kind of an environment, you are literally protecting your partner's jobs. Like, we are literally protecting each other's jobs by how we show up every single day right now." And I think for all of us on this call, whether or not you're an individual contributor or you have someone that's responsible for, their compensation is responsible by you, we have to be looking at this market not from a place of just absolute panic, But from a place of, if you're not hitting the numbers that you're hitting, that you wanted to hit, it's not going to get easier right now. So you have to your point, Rick, on the licenses on, I mean, I hate to say it, I do want to see the numbers go down because that's my competition right now. I don't want anyone on this call to go down, but I want lenders that are my competition to get in a hole and to freak out. I mean, if you're part of my team and you're part of our, like, yes, I want to inspire the people that are with me, but the people that are not, yeah, get out of the business so that there's less competition for me to work through, you know. But we all have to understand that this market is absolutely going to require us to change what we've done, whatever you've been doing the last 2 years, more than likely isn't going to get you to where you need to be in the rest of 2022 and 23.
Right.
So you got to be willing to change.
You're absolutely right. And what you're saying is it goes back to skills. Look, I would beg that it not drop because my fellow agents that I've met and I love them and they're nice people don't suffer, but they're gonna suffer, right? They're gonna struggle, I should say. Suffering's optional, struggling's a fact of life. But the thing, Larry, who's on here, who's on my team, you know, got an offer on one of his properties yesterday. It was nice. It was over full price, and the other agent said that he had removed all contingencies, but he didn't know the form that he filled out well enough. So really, he did not. That's the kind of, you might say, well, that's just a tiny thing. Somebody could teach him which box to check. No, if your skills are not at the very top of the game, you're not going to last in this market, even little skills like that. And my dad used to say, it's how you handle the little things that are a reflection of how you're going to handle the big things. And we all need to skill up. We need to, number one, get more control over our time and put aside the time necessary, uninterruptible, that it's going to require, because most realtors go to the office and come back and tell their significant others and their families that they work today. And if the significant others and the kids at home knew what to say, they'd say, so let me tell you, with all the stuff you did today, did you get a lead?
Right, right.
If they just narrowed it down to that, like I used to teach a class where I told everybody to go home and tell their kids to ask them when they got home, Dad, I don't want to hear all the stories about how great your lunch was. Did you get a lead today? Right? Imagine how we would be different if we knew we were going to get asked that when we got home.
Yeah. Actually, I think Thomas actually does ask me every single day I come home, how many loans did you close today? Every single day.
And how old is he?
He's 16, but
Yeah.
he's been doing it since he's 10. And
Yeah.
it was a lot more fun answering him last year than it was today.
Yeah.
By the way, Rick, two more things on that is, what do I need to learn is the final. So what do I need to subtract? What do I need to stop doing? And then it's, what do I need to learn?
Yeah.
And then the final one that I didn't say to anybody, which is, what are my priorities moving forward? So just so everyone knows. And by the way, the way that I decide when I'm in my best frame of mind on what my priorities are moving forward, for me, it's what makes me the most money or saves me the most time.
Yeah, I love, I don't know, did you see what Sherry Mason put in there? This market, SUCKS, skill up, check in, kick ass.
I like it. Love it. It's the right attitude.
So you said, what makes me the most amount of money? And
what makes me the most money or saves me the most time? That's basically, like, at the end of the day, when we come to work each day, I mean, that's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to make the most money we can or save the most time we can. So that's my decision process in figuring out what my priorities are. Kind of to your point on the lead, right? You can say whatever you want, but it's like, at the end of the day, does it help me make more money? Does it save more time?
Yeah. And then when you, and I don't know this answer, so I'm asking from a complete place of ignorance. When you do coaching, and I know that you coach a lot on handwritten notes, face-to-face meetings, lunches, coffees, conversations on the phone, what are you telling in terms of specific time put aside a day, 5 days a week? What does that look like? And I mean, are we saying an hour? Are we saying 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week? give me an idea so that we that are on here, and there are mostly agents on this call today. I'm not, and I know, of course, I can't count all the number of people recording. I know of at least 6 mortgage people who watch this recording every week. But what I'm saying is, what are you saying time wise as a suggestion? I know you can't force people, you can't fly a helicopter over their home to see that they're doing it. Is it an hour a day, 5 days a week? What?
No, I mean, it's way more than that. I would expect, like, I call it, for me, I call it green time versus red time,
Right.
right? So for me, I should be in green time 80% of the time. So that to me means 5 to 6 hours a day of some form of prospecting, whether or not, I think we all get stuck in, like, prospecting means that you're cold calling the world, right? To me, prospecting, this call is right. I mean, I have access to all of you right now, and I'm talking, and hopefully, I mean, in all honesty, my hope would be someone goes, well, I like Hunter, I'd use that guy for a loan, right? This is prospecting.
Yeah.
So just anything that you're doing, talking to my existing business partners, having lunch with an existing business partner, having lunch with a client, calling my pre-approved clients to see where they are in the market, all of that stuff. So I would just say, for my coaching students, I mean, all we're supposed to do, and I do it every day, is fill out this thing called Greatness Tracker, which is, right now it's 10 face-to-face, 3 break breads, 75 talk tos, 20 thank you cards, 10 leads. And then depending on how many that's what our goal is. So it's basically like however long it takes to get this filled out. But I also think green time right now, my loans are way down. So I should be, I don't, I can be making whatever excuse I want, depending on how successful I want to be in this business is dependent on how much green time I'm in. So, I mean, just to answer your question, I'm telling my coaching students at a minimum 50% of their day should be in green time, but I really think the number is 80%.
Yeah. Is there a way that Bridget can send me an actual link to the Greatness Tracker? I think you sent it to me last year when you were a guest speaker.
Yeah.
I can't find it right now, but
Yeah.
I love the Greatness Tracker. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's see, Hunter. Yeah, I might still have it from last year. I'm going back to 2021 in my.
Okay. No, I'll send it. I mean, it's just an easy, it's funny, right? I mean, all the, I don't want to say success we've had, whatever, but I mean, it's like, here I still am filling out this form every single day. I mean, it's just, it keeps me on track, right? Whenever I stop filling it out is when I fall off track.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I can't look right now because I'll get distracted, but I know it's in there somewhere. But if you can have Bridget resend it to me, I don't know. Is it possible to have it in the form of a link instead of?
Yeah. I mean, I'll try. You're talking to the same guy who doesn't know how to use a Zoom, so
that's
I'm
okay.
sure
Gina,
Bridget's smarter than me.
Yeah, my assistant Gina can turn any PDF into a link. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah, guys, this Greatness Tracker is like world renowned core coaching, and Hunter, what he does for his people. The people that I personally know that have gone through core coaching, their business is through the ceiling, and it doesn't have fluctuations in a shifting market because they're already doing the activities on a daily basis, right? So, yeah.
Rick, I think I told you the guy, like the lowest, I mean, the core is not, I mean, it's not for everybody, and it's hardcore, and, but Rick, the guy that owns it, he brought the lowest guy. There was 400 students. It's high accountability, blah, blah, blah. And like he brought the number 1 guy in the core up on stage and the lowest producer in the core on stage and said, this is the biggest loser and this is the biggest winner. And Oleg, who's now a core coach, was the lowest guy in the program. And he was so pissed off. Rick thought for sure that he was going to quit. And instead, he went and did double Greatness Tracker. So he literally did a double Greatness Tracker for 6 months. Within 1 year, he made $4.5 million.
Wow.
Literally from just doing a double Greatness Tracker. I mean, like it's crazy, but it works.
And those numbers you said is a weekly number?
Those are weekly numbers. Yep, those are weekly numbers.
Yeah. That's amazing, dude. That's
yeah.
a great story.
Well, it just keeps you on track, right? I mean, it's like we all just we just lie to ourselves about how busy we are. And it's all relative, right? I mean, if there's people that just want to have a balanced, comfortable life, and I think, honestly, as I get older, I have more admiration and respect for those people. I'm just not, I want to be that way. I'm just not. Like, so it's like, if you want to have success in this business and you want to participate in this stuff, you have to do the work. You can get all the coaching, you can read all the books, you can do everything in the world. But if you don't pick up the phone, if you don't meet with people, if you don't do your stuff, then it's just never going to happen. And the more we can be honest with ourselves, and depending on how full this is at the end of the week, is completely indicative. Like when I talk about not wanting to ever let one of my team members go, it's dependent on, like, is this filled out? If it is, then I shouldn't have to let one of my team members go. If it's not filled out, at some point I will.
Nice. Nice. So I love this. And I'm thinking in my mind, in 1999, the company I managed had become a Century 21, and we went to the Century 21 convention. And the final award that they give on stage every day is the #1 real estate agent in the world back then for Century 21, the world. Everything else had been mostly US based awards, you know, top franchise, units, volume, all this other stuff. And they went through it, but they went through it like they do at the beauty pageants. They said #3 first, #2, and then #1, right? But they let #2 and #1 on stage. They don't let #3 on stage. And the #2 guy that year, the #1 guy was the #1 lady was Marty Rodriguez from San Diego, California. And they had brought up #2 first, and literally he was like this 6'4", lanky, tall Japanese guy from Japan, from a Century 21 in Japan. And they brought this next guy out with them that had a little step stool, and he was like 5 foot. And he had to put that step stool down and got up, and he's the one who spoke into the microphone because the tall Japanese guy knew no English. Right? So he's accepting his word for the #2 agent in the world. And the guy says, I will be back here next year as the #1 agent in the world in front of 10,000 of us. Right? This very soft spoken, and the soft spoken actual person saying it wasn't at the microphone, but the little short guy was more loudly spoken because he was like, the big tall guy was leaning way down and saying to him what he wanted him to say. In 2000 at the Century 21 convention, as the #2 agent walked up in the world, Marty Rodriguez, and they introduced the #1 agent in the world, it was him. And I, to this day, how many years is that? 20 years, 22 years later, I still remember this because of like I cringed in my seat. Wait, dude, you're making that announcement in front of 10,000 people that don't even freaking know you, right?
Yeah.
And yet, what did he do? He went back and did what was necessary so that he could come back. And I love the story of the double greatness tracker, because I'm thinking, when was the last time I did a double greatness tracker? My first question would be, when was the last time I did an entire greatness tracker?
Right. Right.
Just one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, absolutely. I like saying things. I mean, I agree with him 1,000%, which is, you know, the more you share your thoughts with others as opposed to keep them inside.
yeah.
I love having that pressure of, I just announced to this group that I'm going to do X, and you know, I mean, that's the accountability right there. If you keep it in your own head, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. It's like, but I'm not going to tell anybody. You'll never do it, right?
Well, and you know, the more we keep it to ourselves, it's like telling yourself you're going to get up and run tomorrow. You haven't run in ages, and you're
Right.
for running, and you wake up in the morning and it seems a little breezy outside, and you're like, oh, I didn't tell anybody I was going.
Right, exactly.
But the problem there is now you've diminished your own integrity to yourself.
100%.
While whatever you tell everybody else you do and commit to, Bruce has been there before, good. And then you have this thing that's going on where the sledgehammer of your subconscious mind is chiseling away at your self-esteem and your integrity, and you have no more self-confidence as a result of it. So we like to say that we're saying it such that oh, I don't want to tell everybody I'm doing that. But the more you do tell people that, the more you feel obligated to perform. So,
100%.
yeah. Yeah. So, okay. This is a July 4th holiday for the people on the West Coast, which is a lot of the people on here. It's only 9:44 in the morning. 9:45 now. What are some of the things that we can use to close out the call, Hunter, we're going to give everybody the greatness tracker. I think that you all need to subscribe to Hunter's Sunday Thoughts. So in our email where we send out the recording, we're going to give you, can we give them something on how to subscribe to Sunday Thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. And,
Yes.
and then we're going to get you subscribe to everything Hunter's doing, because I read his Sunday Thoughts typically before bed every Sunday night. Right.
Thanks, Rick.
And lately, like Hunter, I'll be honest with you, lately I'm surprised at how early on Sunday I'm getting them. So
that's just me. I mean, I really do. I wake up in the morning on Sundays and just right away, I mean, it's not, I'm usually thinking about something that's happened throughout the week before I get going. But yeah, I mean, depending on how early I wake up on Sunday, that's what I do.
Nice. Well, because when I first met you and started doing them, you had a couple, you even admitted to some struggling with it. And you thought the Sunday never went well. If I kept thinking all day, I still got to get this out. Do you remember talking about that?
Yep, 100%.
And I had remembered receiving a couple at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, or 4. And now all of a sudden they're all before noon every time. So, and I'm sure it must weigh heavy on you because you're committed to it. Oh, and Hunter, they're asking, do you work in other states besides California? I'm in Tennessee.
Yes, we can do Tennessee. Absolutely.
Okay, that's Sherry and Gary, and they're good friends of mine, and they were from the Grass Valley area, and they
nice.
So, and she used to be Remax, and she works. Her and I are partners right now. So
one of the transplants.
Yeah. So one of the many transplants.
One of the many transplants. Yes.
I can never remember what city she's in, and I got a lead through my CRM that said I want a property evaluation for Crossville, Tennessee, and I'm like. So I text Sherry, it's probably 11 p.m. her time. And I go, hey, what's the city of Crossville, Tennessee? Do you work that area? She goes, dude, it's where I live. So obviously I was able to give her that lead right away, but it's, yeah. So let's see what else we got. Thank you, Hunter and Rick. You all have a safe 4th of July. We thank you guys. Does anybody have last minute questions or comments? And Hunter, what do you have? And Hillary, do you guys have anything to close out the call before everybody takes off?
Does anyone have questions? I mean, Rick, from my perspective, I would just say, look at, by the way, I don't mean to talk too much about Sunday Thoughts, but if you just go to sundaythoughts.com, someone super kind, didn't even tell me about it, just created sundaythoughts.com for me. So if you go there, you'll see all of my Sunday Thoughts.
Nice. Okay.
But I'm using this opportunity as July 1 as an opportunity for kind of a rebirth of the rest of the year.
Can I have a partner over lights, please? Yeah. Sorry, I'm on a call here, Zoom call. Yes, please, short.
Hold on, I'll mute that. Hold on. Where's that coming from?
Always someone. I think it's Michelle.
It is Michelle, but let's see. There it is. Okay, good. There we go. All right.
My team and I'm doing a call on it for all of our loan officers next Wednesday. It's literally just the similar things that we've talked about, which is just redoing your business plan for the next 6 months based on what the last 6 months look like. I don't think it's any special sauce in there, but I do think based on what I talked about of what's working, what's not working, what do I need to add, what do I need to subtract, what do I need to learn, and what are my priorities moving forward. And I think just, for me with my team every single day now, Hillary's on our team meeting calls. It's like I have my own big rocks every day, which are what are the 3 primary things that I need to accomplish every single day. My team writes them down. They each have, they have their own big rocks. I have my own big rocks. If you don't have a daily understanding of what you need to do to be successful, it's just not going to happen. So I would just say, one of the things that Rick and I talked about yesterday too, just briefly, was, how do you stay positive, and I think a lot of that has to do with your morning routine. I think that has to do with, it's stuff we always talk about, but I also know that it works, because when I don't do it, it doesn't work. And when I do it, it does work, which is morning routine, some exercise, gratitude journal. For me, it's prayer, it's journaling, it's reading some positive books. It is reviewing my calendar. It's looking at my calendar. I joked with Rick again. on Tuesday, because I said, or Wednesday, I said, hey, Rick, you know, I want to look at my calendar every single day before my day begins to see what my day looks like, because it should all be in my calendar. And I didn't. And I ended up emailing Rick saying, hey, do you want to talk before our call? And then I looked at randomly, I looked at my calendar 15 minutes later, and at 3:45 yesterday was the spot for Rick and I to talk. But because I hadn't looked at my calendar, I didn't know that. So I sent him an email and looked like an idiot. So the point is, review your calendar before each day. Write down the 3 most important things that you're going to get, that you need to accomplish in the day. It's simple stuff, but I mean, if you're going to be successful, you got to have a plan and you got to execute on it. It's that simple.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Hillary, we didn't hear anything from you. Of course, I know you're like what he said, right? You just say,
no, actually, I will make a point. It is kind of interesting because as I'm making the calls for our team and Hunter, you know, my job is to book as many people as I possibly can, grab as many realtors as I can, bring them on our team for Hunter, put them in front of as many people as I possibly can, and make sure everybody's happy and realtor wise. And I will say, even if you've been discouraged in the past and you make your calls and you just kind of want to give up, you know, in the past because so many people are busy, but now realtors are more willing to meet with me because they're not so busy anymore. So it's actually now a lot more fun to make these calls.
Right.
So I'm starting to book, you know, more realtor office presentations for Hunter coming up, mainly in August because people are on vacation and whatnot. But it's a lot easier now to get into these realtor offices than it was before. So if you've been discouraged in the past, start it again because things have totally changed in the market right now.
yes. And this is what when I do talk to people outside of in the industry, but outside of being a real estate agent, I always say, you've learned so much in your career, and we, the real estate agent, don't respect enough that if I did spend a few minutes with you, it doesn't obligate me to commit to using you for life. But if I would shut up long enough, I might learn something.
Absolutely. And
Right.
if anybody has anything that they want to ask, feel free to call me as well. I mean, I've been in the industry for a long time, so I can help you.
Yeah, put your information in the chat, Hillary, and then we'll add it to the email that goes out. Okay.
Sounds good.
So yeah, and guys, thank you very much, Hunter and Hillary. You guys have a wonderful family. I'm sure you're going to be doing a lot of loving stuff around the family over the weekend. Give your mom and dad my regards. I think I saw your mom's car the other day. Kind of hard to miss, but it's so cool that she loves that car, and that's her thing. So
It's a little disgusting.
all right. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Everybody, thank you for joining.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah. And Hunter, stay tuned. We'll probably have you back again. And thank you. We're going to send out everything in a group so that you guys, everybody knows who you are. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Hunter.
All righty. Take care,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Have a happy 4th.
Bye-bye.
Take care.